Afternoon, guys. Welcome back to season 2 of our webinar series for the Independent Gyms platform. This is the second episode. I'm hoping we bring in some really sort of useful topics to the table for you guys to sit and listen to. Last week we had a discussion, or a couple of weeks ago we had a discussion around the price increases in general and whether you should put your membership prices up and your guest pass prices. That one landed really well. Had a ridiculous amount of views on the YouTube channel afterwards. So thank you for tuning into that one. Today we're talking energy costs, energy prices. We've all seen what's been going on over the last probably 2 or 3 months now, maybe a bit longer in terms of costs. You'll have seen a direct impact in your bills if you've had to change. So in order to try and help with that, we've brought the team in from Energy Save experts to give their sort of expert opinions, really. Hosting today, Rebecca and Aaron, and we've got Chris as well. I'm going to hand over to these guys. Obviously, it's being recorded. We're going to share this out if you're watching back. If you've got any questions, comment on the Facebook post, and we'll come back to you with any answers. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Rebecca, and Aaron is going to share their screen and tell us all how we can save money on energy costs. Over to you guys.
There we go. So hi, my name's Becky. I am the Key Account and Partner Manager. So Energy Save Experts, we've been going since 2015. We specialise in contract procurement and energy management. We pride ourselves on being transparent and providing great customer service, basically. We will go through your needs as a company and get the best deal for you as like a bespoke quote. We have consultants all over the UK, but our main office is here in Derby.
Sunny Derby.
Sunny Derby. It is today, actually, for once.
Yeah. So I'm Aaron. I'm the head of corporate here at kind of Energy Save Experts, and kind of my strength and kind of focus at the moment with my customers is to do with energy management strategies, and kind of in this current climate, and as everyone's kind of seen at the moment and how expensive the market's got, how can people actually reduce the bills are going up, but what can you do internally within your business to help mitigate any of that increase and kind of lower your costs as much as possible? So in terms of today, I've broken this up into 3 separate categories. One is small switches. These are something that you can do within your business relatively easily, that are relatively low in cost or slightly cost effective, that you would be able to do very quickly within your business to try and save some money. Some of them may be very obvious and something maybe that people have done already within their business, but there's very simple things such as changing any kind of lights you've got to kind of either LED light fixtures if they need to be changed, or just an LED cost-effective bulb. The amount of energy that are wasted through older type bulbs and non-LED bulbs is ridiculous, to be completely honest with you. Power goes through them even when your light switch is off. So finding something that's a smarter light bulb can save you tons of money in terms of just a general outgoing that needs to be on. For your gym to be running, you need the lights on. So it's a necessary evil that you're going to have them on, but pay as little as you can for them. That leads me on to the next one, which is smart extension leads. If you can get hold of any smart extension leads, which obviously your equipment, your computers, printers, anything internally in the business that you need that you can plug that into, they can be set on a timer. So at specific times of the day or night or whenever they're not needed, they would automatically turn off.
I've got these at home and they do make a difference.
Yeah, it completely can kind of revolutionize the amount of equipment that you've got at all times, and it also then doesn't rely on whoever's closing up that night or whoever's in charge of that at that moment to make sure everything is turned off. It puts some autonomy into it, and it at one night where you don't have any of your equipment on could save you a ton of money. So that is again a very small cost effective way to kind of save a bit of money. Another one, very basic, very, very basic thing, but remove any computers that have a screensaver. The fact that you can walk away from your computer. It'll go into kind of a standby mode rather than having something formally on the screen. Any kind of screensaver can save you. Two computers not having a screensaver on can save nearly about £100 per year just from energy, for the energy that goes through the monitor on its own. The other one would be obviously reducing the thermostat. Again, similar ballpark, but an average business can save around £100 per year by reducing their heating thermostat by 1 degree. So if you can reduce that by 1 degree, it saves £100. 2 degrees, £200. Obviously, it depends how cold your unit is in terms of the winter, and again with the air conditioning, how hot it can get in the summer. So it's going to be different for each person. But if you can try and reduce that, it naturally will reduce your cost. And then the final point in terms of small switches is something that kind of my local gym's done. And it's actually a lot of their treadmills and skis and different things like that that they have within the gym itself. They've turned into the manual ones that aren't plugged in at all and actually use the power generated by the people on the machine to power the screens on there. I've put one there, which is the Techno Gym Skill Mill. So that can save money because you're not using any of your own power. You're just using the kinetic energy of obviously the person using it to actually power the equipment. So anything that you could swap over to that kind of equipment would be obviously more cost effective there. Not only is it cost effective, but it's also an eco bit of equipment. So actually not only are you reducing your cost, it's reducing the impact on the environment. So there's a win both ways there. The second thing is larger switches. So these are what can you do within your business to reduce how much you're using or to create your own energy. This is a huge thing. They unfortunately do come with a cost. However, it's beneficial in this current market, and it's the only way that people are going to be able to significantly reduce what their outgoings are. So the best way to go about it is to find out what different types of technologies could your unit have. That is whether you own the unit, whether you rent the unit, whatever your circumstances are, there is 10 different types of renewable technologies, and 90% of the time, there's at least one or two that every business could have. So there's roof-mounted solar panels you can have. If you don't own the top floor of your building, so you can't have something on the roof, do you own the ground outside? Could you have some ground-mounted solar panels? Could you have heat pumps, batteries, small wind turbines within the grounds of your unit? There's so many different renewable technologies that you could have implemented that are more than just the general solar panels that people think of. Now, these renewable technologies will not reduce your bill. Your outgoing, which is a common misconception, your outgoing bill and the amount of energy you use will not reduce from this. However, getting something like this installed on your site, you naturally will then feed your energy back into the grid. From that, from whichever your selected supplier is, you will then receive a payment monthly for that energy. So that will mitigate the cost. So if you're spending £400 on your outgoing, but you then got £200 incoming from your renewable energy, naturally your outgoings that month have gone down to the £200. This not only would help people in the current climate where there's a crisis going on, but once the market reduces to its natural state and kind of a regular market value, you would then be in a profit because you would then be earning money from something that you didn't have beforehand. As a company, Energy Save Experts, this is something we can help you with. We do have a service that will give you a full audit of your site and tell you what you could have installed on site, what you're eligible for, what you're not eligible for, based on your specific circumstances. It will tell you how much that would cost, who in your area we suggest would fit that, and that actually what you would make back per year on that. We'll be able to tell you after how many years you would be in positive equity from that when you'll have made your money back. And then anything from that point onwards would be a profit. So that is a full service that we can get provided for you. And you can get your full audit and we can go from there. That is the biggest way at the moment that businesses could reduce outgoings and possibly make a profit. That brings me on to our last point, which is the procurement of your contracts. As everyone knows, the energy industry hasn't always kind of had the best, not really had the best reputation, to put it politely. That now with the energy industry in the kind of crisis that it's been in and prices as high as they are, there are all sorts of companies doing all sorts of tactics to try and get people into contracts that might not be beneficial for your business. The first point is to be as vigilant as possible. Do your homework on who you're working with, the suppliers that you're looking at, and see if they are right for your company. Always get in writing the exact type of contract that you are being offered. And I cannot stress this enough. Your energy contract as a whole is made up of multiple components. The smallest aspect of that is actually the cost of the energy. From that, you then have transportation costs, distribution costs, and various different third-party costs that come with that. The more of those third-party costs that get removed from the unit rate and itemized separately, the cheaper your contract will look. However, on your bill, it will still be itemized. There's a lot of companies that are doing this to make unit rates and to make energy charges look as cheap as possible. However, it's not the reality once you get your bill. So make sure you know exactly what the type of contract is that you are signing in for. The next point is there. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. The energy market at the moment, you can see anything from between 30 pence per kilowatt hour to 40 pence per kilowatt hour. If you're shopping around and most prices are coming back within that region and you get one supplier offering you 20 pence per kilowatt hour, that one price that's the anomaly compared to everybody else is the one that you should be concerned about. Most suppliers are always there or thereabouts within a penny or a couple of penny of each other. If there's one that is way out, they are the ones that are having a contract that is slightly different to the rest of them. If that price existed, all suppliers would have it because they need your business to be able to trade. So just make sure that you know exactly what you're looking for. And also make sure you do a full comparison of all duration options. Stereotypically, you would do a 12-month contract, a 24-month contract, or a 36-month contract. However, if you get bespoke pricing, you can get anything from a 1-month contract to a 65-month contract if you wanted one. You can get them on all specific times to start and finish at different times. So there might be that actually you would usually go for a 3-year contract, but actually right now a 6-month contract would be best for your business to get you out of this crisis, to then review your contract again when it settles. So there's a plethora of options for you. Just make sure that with the consultant you're speaking to or the supplier you're speaking to, you go through and discuss and find out their opinion on what duration would be best for you and compare them price-wise and see what is the best for you. You can never have too much information, and the more information you've got, the best you can make the best educated decision for your business. So procurement and energy management is something we specialize in. We've got our contact details at the bottom there. So everyone obviously feel free to take those down. And if you want any impartial advice, your quotes are completely no obligation, free no obligation quotes. And even if you've done a contract, but you want to run us past what kind of contract that is, or you've got questions about a contract you've done, or you're in a contract and you're not sure when it finishes or when you can get out of it, feel free to give us a call or an email and we're happy to help regardless.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that kind of brings us to the end of kind of everything that we've got there.
Guys, great stuff. Thank you very much. I've been scribbling down a few questions and a few thoughts as you've been chatting, so hopefully I don't have anything too difficult. I suppose the first thing is, I'm seeing it from a consumer's perspective. How does a consumer and commercial supply differ, and what are the things to sort of be aware of?
So the biggest thing there, which is not helped at all by what's shown in the media at the moment, is you will see a lot of things that are revolving around the energy price cap that people are talking about at the moment. The price cap only exists for domestic customers. Anyone within a domestic household, regardless of age, is classed as a vulnerable customer because you're not expected to know what you're signing into. So there's price caps, and they are legally obligated to only be able to offer you a fully fixed contract. So at your home, there's no risk you going on to a flex contract or anything that's kind of missing any components. With business, there is no rules around that at all. So not only is there no price cap, and that can go as high as physically possible, there is also any type of contract type they can offer you. The supplier can add in or remove as many different charges as they like. So you're not always comparing a like for like product. If you, for instance, had a pass-through contract and you'd been offered 10p as a pass-through, but I'd offered you 30p on a fully fixed contract, those are not the same contracts to be able to compare against each other. And that's where it can really get confusing for kind of commercial customers.
I suppose Martin Lewis is probably making life difficult at times from a commercial sense, because all he talks about is obviously consumers.
Yeah, exactly. It's and a lot of the advice he gives for consumers is great. However, it's unless people are really on the ball and they really understand the energy industry from their commercial standpoint, the lines can get very blurry in kind of what the advice is. So when he's telling people at the moment, don't switch, stay exactly where you are, don't switch, you can't save anything going elsewhere, that isn't correct when it comes to commercial.
No.
So with domestic, all the prices are moving up pretty much to where the cap is. So if you were to jump to another supplier, the chances are you would be on the exact same, or you'd maybe save a couple of pounds. The differences between what different commercial suppliers are offering, because there's no cap, are in the thousands. I've recently had a customer that had an offer from their current supplier, so not through any kind of consultant, from their current supplier. I've gone to a rival supplier to see what they can offer, and their contract at the exact same terms was £10,000 cheaper per year. So there are huge differences between what suppliers are offering at the moment.
Yeah, sounds huge. That probably leads on to my second question. Now, we've been working with you guys close to a year now, I think, and you've done quite a few switches for our members already. The question would be, is there a good time to switch or a bad time to switch, or, you know, what should they be, when should they start to think about moving their supply?
My recommendation to everyone at the moment is to get the bills out, find when your end date is, and regardless of whether it's in the next month, 6 months, 12 months, whenever it is, kind of get in contact with us, and we will guide you as when we think you are best to come to the market on your specific circumstances. There isn't a specific stencil that fits for everyone at the moment, and the market is moving so quickly each day that there's some days where you go, today's not the day to do it. And there's other days where actually the market drops to the lowest we've seen since kind of December time. And I'd say actually, even if you're up in the next 6 to 8 months, today's a great day to do it. So it completely does fluctuate. So my suggestion would be to get your bills out, either give us, or if you've got someone else that's preferred a call, give someone a call and get some advice and a date in the diary of when you're planning to come to the market, and kind of just get some sort of agreement in place about when you think you're going to come and have a look at it. So it does, there's not a blanket answer for that one, really. It's just specific on the way that the market is and that specific business circumstances.
I would say that don't let yourself go out of contract. I've been speaking to a lot of customers whose contracts are due for renewal, and because of Martin Lewis, they were, we're not going to do anything, we're going to sit tight. Please remember, the price cap doesn't apply to businesses. Out of contract rates for businesses can be as high as a pound a unit in some cases. Wow. So yeah, don't let yourself go out of contract.
Yeah.
I suppose in a way it's almost like when, if we think about just equipment in general for gyms, they'll start thinking about what they're going to buy 3, 4, 5 months ahead. And they should probably think about the same sort of mentality around energy supplies, just to keep an eye on the market and have discussions early to hit at the right time. Yeah.
Fantastic. With a lot of my customers at the moment, I've got people that aren't even the contracts, they're in a fully fixed contract now until towards the end of the year. However, I'm sending them a weekly update on what the market is doing this week in comparison to the week before. So if there is a good point, either they're getting an update each week so they know and they've got the most information they can in terms of making a decision themselves. But if there's suddenly a week that's really cheap, we can jump and we can start pricing. Or if it does the opposite and the market seems to be pushing up significantly from where it is, again, we can pull the trigger and go now just to mitigate any more increase.
Yeah.
So
I suppose
that's what a lot of people are getting.
Yeah, I suppose that almost depends on almost your risk, how averse you are to risk as well. If you're willing
Yeah.
to hold off and wait for a low rate, great. Or if you see them rising and it's almost not a panic as such, but it's like, let's just protect ourselves in case things get worse.
Exactly. There's a lot of customers that obviously the market initially started to jump up last September, and then we had a lot of fluctuations between kind of September and January. And then beginning of March, everything went even crazy with everything with Russia and Ukraine happening. That I had customers that had contracts that were up in April that we'd spoken to in January. They said, look, we're probably going to leave it for the time being, see how it settles. And then actually they've come back to the market in a much worse position because they thought it would settle from January to April. So it is one of those where no one knows 100% and no one has a crystal ball, especially with everything that's going on at the moment. But if you're speaking to someone, whether it's a consultant or an individual themselves that looks at the market every single day, you then have that information where you can decide when to pull the trigger on getting your pricing and getting into a contract. And people need to accept that regardless of whether you enter a contract and the market comes down slightly in the next few months, or whether you enter a contract and then actually, or if you don't enter a contract and it flies up by the point that you need to get in a contract, you made the best educated decision you could for your business at that point. Yeah. And that's what people kind of need to decide when they want to do that and just move with the market at that point.
Another sort of question around consumer versus commercial. Consumer, if I sign up with Eon and I want to move, I can pay a penalty fee, usually about 30 quid per supply, gas and electric. Is there a similar commercial get out? If somebody's signed into a contract that they realise is actually, not a great contract, do they have a way out? Or
no, not really. So with your business contracts, you are, because again, you're not classed as a vulnerable person. So if you were a domestic customer and you've signed into a contract that you didn't want, you're classed as vulnerable. So you've got not only a 2-week cooling off period, but you can pay a get out fee and you can leave. With commercial, you are seen as you are a professional and this is a business and you know what you are signing into and you are signing legally binding contracts. That being said, if you sign into a 3-year contract and actually you are moving out of your unit and you're going to move into a larger unit elsewhere, or you're closing the business down or anything like that happens, your contract does become null and void with no penalties from the time that you are no longer responsible for that meter. So if you sign into a 3-year contract, it's the best price, but 2 years later you need to leave, you are not eligible to pay for that final year. That will just become null and void and that will cancel off from the day that you leave.
Yeah, that makes sense. Moving on to, I've got one more, I suppose, an observation for me. The small switches you spoke about, energy saving bulbs, obviously that's a great simple one, isn't it? Spoke about the self-powered kit, the Technogym skill mill, for example. I think it's more of a sort of an observation really for me, and invested in new kit can be quite expensive, but if it's not within a gym's plan, just getting people off those machines, doing some more hands-on sessions, do some impromptu classes. If you've got a classic cardio bank where your treadmills and everything's plugged in and there's TVs on all the screens, get them off the machine and do a quick half-hour class to save that half hour of energy use would be an easy one. So it's more of a statement really for me. And then on the larger switches, this is my last question really, probably a finger in the air job. We talked about renewables, solar panels and so on. What's sort of the one hot sort of switch or product and self-generated electricity that people are going for? Would it be solar panels or is there
solar panels are the most common. However, they're not always the most effective, especially in this country. It depends on the shape of your roof or the shape of the land, what direction you face, to how much actual power that can make. Similar to a wind turbine, you can have as many wind turbines if you want, but if you don't get any wind where your unit is, it's not going to do anything. So they're the most common one because I think they're the ones that people know about. but I think personally kind of grounded heat pumps and batteries and things like that can be a much smaller, cheaper, better option for people, because you can generate that power all year round regardless of what the weather's doing. So I'd say yes, they're the most common, but they're not always the best for people to get. But it's always worth getting an audit done for the whole of all 10 technologies, and then you can see not only what's going to save you the most money, but what's actually the cheapest for you to fit, and you can make a balance between that, and you can at least start getting something coming back in then, and something coming back into the business energy wise.
Agreed. I think solar panels are just the obvious one, isn't it? Ones everyone sees and hears about, and there's so much more. So it's definitely worth having a chat with you guys. Guys, that's all my questions. I've exhausted my list. It's been great to chat. Unless you guys have anything else to say, let's wrap it up there. Obviously, if you're watching back on YouTube or in the Facebook group, if you've got any questions or you want to reach out direct, you've got the email address on the screen here. I'll also put the link to Energy Save Experts profile on our platform as well, so you can inquire through there as well. But if you just got any questions, comments on the post, and I'll answer or direct you in the direction of the guys. But on that note, thank you very much for hosting today, guys. And we'll wrap it up there.
Thank you for having us.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.